People need an income that's guaranteed to them.
If you lose money to taxes, you're never getting that money back.
You need to get serious about adding some lower risk.
Greed. I don't like greed.
The thing to be afraid of, honestly, is the thing that we're not thinking of, the black swan event.
There's a tsunami coming. Bye.
Welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Just coffee talk.
There's a lot of noise, a lot of chatter. Who do you listen to? Who do you not listen to? You have to stay focused.
A fun and informative look at the issues of wealth, retirement, and protecting your life savings.
These advisors out there that were trained to sell, and have all these fees. They don't want to talk about this product, so they make less money.
And now, Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Hello again, and welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, you can find us, zinniawealth.com. As always, ZINNIA wealth.com, and we hope that you do. We're here because we know there's a lot of you out there that are either retired or you're getting ready for retirement. And as you go into retirement, you'll have to make some decisions as to what you want to do in retirement. And some people would like to work, and that's where we're actually going to start today. This is an interesting study. Pew Research every year does a study on the American workforce. This time around, they found this. In the mid-'80s, when they did this survey, they asked how many of you are over the age of 65 and are working, and at that point, in the mid-'80s, about 11%. Today, that number is 19%. People over the age of 75 are the fastest growing people in the workforce. Now, when I looked at that, I thought that was a little bit disturbing, Charisse, and you're a retirement planner, so You're trying to get people retired so they don't have to work. So what do you think of something like this? Is something right? Is something wrong? What do you see here?
Well, when I hear this, I think of the psychology of it all, because back in the 90s, baby boomers today, they were like 27, 29 years old. So maybe they were 28 years old. And so during this booming 20-year growth period from 1980s to 2000, the Dow Jones grew over 1,000%. So financial conventional wisdom, don't sell, keep buying, hold, even the market goes down. That was the mentality for 20 years. So they're 28 then. Fast forward 20 years later in 2000, now they're 48. They're getting closer to retire in 5 to 10 years. And what happened from 2000 to 2010?
Well, we had two major pullbacks.
That's the tech bubble. It was awful. And then it took them 5 years to get back to even. All the while, they're thinking, okay, we're going to retire now. This is 7, 8 years later, and they're 55. And then the 2008 crashes. That's an 18-month decline where the S&P dropped 51%. And then it took 4 to 5 years to get back to even by 2013 and 2014. So now we're in our 60s, right?
Yeah.
So now they're back to even. They're in their 60s. They know they need to retire, but they're nervous. The psychology and the emotion of it tells them, no, I don't think we're ready. I'm not sure we saved enough. I feel like we have to save more in case we lose more money. And so over time, if you go all the way back to 2009, we haven't had a crash since then. So now the psychology of it all is saying, well, it's coming. Do I want to be retired when it's coming? Maybe I need to keep working. So we feel like we have to keep working because of the psychology of it.
Got it.
And it's an emotional decision. So we are seeing more people that are waiting longer and longer to retire. And that is why when we do our radio shows, we talk about let's retire now. How can we retire now? Can you retire now? I do not want people retiring at age 75. That is absurd. There is a way to retire earlier, and this is our specialty, income planning, written income plans. Don't let the stock market dictate your next move, because what if you retired at 75? Let's say you've been retired at 70, but then you only live for a couple more years because COVID pops up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not living out those golden years, what you saved all these years to do. Just know that here at Zinnia Wealth, all of us here are trained in income planning. And it's not just about portfolios and the best stock to pick. It's about all the risks that could derail your retirement. And those are market risk, those are advisor fees, those are taxes and long-term care. So we're going to assess your portfolio. We're going to see if you've got those covered. If not, we're going to show you some ways to make sure that you have those protections built in. And then we're going to also provide that written income plan that shows you if you can retire now or if you have to wait a year or two. Or it's probably going to say, hey, you could have retired 5 years ago.
Yeah, we did a story not that long ago that came out of the Wall Street Journal, and it followed a number of people in retirement. And these were people that had saved between $1 and $2 million. And they were afraid to walk away from their paycheck. You talk about the psychology of money, the psychology of walking away from your paycheck, from that employer paycheck that you have leaned on for the last 40 years. It is uncomfortable. And Charisse, you talk about let's do the math. Until you can actually see it in front of you on paper or on a computer screen that says, you know what, you can make more in retirement than you did while you were working, or we're going to replace that paycheck for you and you're going to continue on. The only difference is you're not working anymore, but the money's coming in. That's what everybody wants to see. And I think that's the fear that we see here. You can work in retirement if you want to, but we don't want you to work in retirement because you have to. And isn't that the key here?
That is definitely the key, because eventually you're going to be forced to retire. The employers are like, okay, time to go.
Yep.
And hopefully you have that plan in place. Mm-hmm. And by 75, it's hard to keep a job at age 75, let alone 70, or let alone 65 if you're like one of the higher paying jobs at the firm, right? So let's plan in case those mishaps happen. Maybe it's a healthcare issue. You can't work anymore. Or maybe your spouse has a healthcare issue and you have to retire. And or maybe they just let you go way earlier than ever intended. So this is why get ahead of the game, plan now, and you might actually find out by coming and seeing us here at Zinnia Wealth that you can retire on the income that you are needing and thriving on for the rest of your life so much earlier.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that if you could take a look, if you're still working right now, take a look at your paycheck, look at your take-home pay, and then bring that number into Charisse and say, Charisse, this is what I'm getting every 2 weeks. Can we replace that? We'll take that challenge at Zinnia Wealth. Give us a call, and we'll go through it with you. 833-368-3680 is our number. 833-368-3680. Or if you go to our website, this is really easy, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. There's a gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. If you click on that, we'll ask you to put in a little information there, and our team will reach out to you. We'll get the conversation going. Again, zinniawealth.com. All right, so the market is up right now. It goes back and forth a little bit, but it's pretty high right now. Your 401k is probably looking pretty good. And every time we have one of these going on, I always see the story, look at all the 401k millionaires out there. Mm-hmm. It always happens. So now the question is, what do we do? Do we leave that 401k and let it roll along with the market, or do we do something with it? Well, this is T. Rowe Price's Roger Young, and he's talking to the people at Morningstar, and he says looking at rolling some of that money from your 401k or IRA into a Roth should be one of your considerations.
Broadly speaking, an IRA gives you more investment choices. It typically also gives you more control over how you take distributions. So you have a lot more freedom typically with an IRA. On the flip side, with a 401k at a large organization, your investment fees might be lower. There might be some other reasons to keep money there. So it depends on your situation. It depends on the specifics of your work plan. And I'd also add, your personal preferences play a role too.
So there are reasons, as he has cited, to leave the money in the 401k or the IRA. Charisse, what would be some of the reasons to move money out of that 401k or Roth IRA and even do a conversion over to a Roth?
A lot of people are coming into our office, Randy, saying, why isn't my 401k keeping up with the stock market? Mm-hmm. Do I have a lot of fees? Am I in the wrong funds? I have maybe 5 years till I retire, and they're concerned. And the reason is that in the 401k, you have a small menu of options. Mm-hmm. Plus, what you'll find out over time is that you have higher fees than you actually realize. This is why we do that 401k x-ray. I will say that when you are working, you are not the investment pro, the financial planner. You are working and you're working in your job. This is why you come to a financial advisory team to help you figure out what is the best strategy. Do you know, Randy, that there are funds in a 401k that people are in today that people should not be in because they're not keeping up with the stock market, Or some of them are target retirement date funds, and those target retirement date funds aren't keeping up with the stock market and are actually some of the worst funds you could be invested in.
And those are the choices our employer gives us.
And very limited. Some people have only 10 options. Some people might have 30 options. What people should be doing is they should be coming in for that 401k X-ray. We can find out if you're in the right funds. We're not even going to manage your accounts. We're going to give you the advice on the direction of what you should be invested in for the next 5 years or 10 years before you retire. On top of that, if you have the opportunity to roll those 401ks to an IRA, you're going to be going from an average of 30 choices in that 401k to 30,000 choices when you're working with an advisory team. When you have that many choices, sky's the limit.
Right.
Your fees can come down. You can make more money. If you want more safe money built in, there's safe money strategies that are well endowed versus what you're using those target retirement date funds. And I will say this, when you are investing, we're not looking for the jiggliest thing you have, right? Depending on the season of life that you are in. If you're young, we can have the jiggliest thing in the stock market and be at high risk. But when you're nearing retirement, that retirement zone, that 5 years before retire, that's a time to look at alternatives. And unfortunately, the 401k does not have those alternatives. And we want to show you, if you can move those to an IRA, what are your options? And on average, we'll save at least 0.5% in fees by moving a 401k to an IRA if you're allowed. And if not, if you cannot move those accounts over, we'll at least show you some better options inside that 401k by using our 401k X-ray.
So there's three kinds of money we've talked about in the past. There's taxable money, there's tax-free money, and there's tax-deferred money. And that's where the category that we're talking about here is tax-deferred money. You have not paid taxes yet on your 401k or your IRA. That comes later when you start taking that money out. So, Charisse, is it okay, or should it be that we have all three kinds of money in our retirement years, that we can have some tax-deferred money, and that's okay? Should we get it all out of the tax wash all at once, systematically? How do you make that decision?
Right. So not only are you limited in a 401k, if and when you can roll it over to an IRA, we can now really focus on the tax strategy. And we could start rolling some of our IRAs to a Roth IRA. Right now, tax diversification is one of the key things we need to implement in the retirement plan, because eventually your money's going to double, and that doubler just means a double tax bill for you in the long run. So it gives us some opportunities to slowly roll our IRAs over to a Roth. Even if you're under 59 and a half, a lot of people say, oh, we can't do it until you're 59 and a half. That's not true. If you're doing a direct rollover to a Roth from an IRA, you can absolutely roll those dollars over and there is no penalty. But we really need to get it into the IRA first.
Most of us have most of our money in a 401k or an IRA because that's where they gave us to place it. We don't have pensions much anymore, so they gave us this thing called a 401k. Now we're going to use it, and now we find it's full of taxes. Well, how do we get around that? Well, it's going to take some planning. It's going to take some work, and that is what it is to have a retirement plan, an investment plan, an income plan, a tax plan at Zinnia Wealth. Give us a look online. Let's talk through it. And if most of your money is in a 401k, let's not let you run into that tax time bomb that we talk about in your 70s. Give us a call. Give us a look on our website, zinniawealth.com. Hit the gold box that says complimentary retirement consultation, or you can give us a call and we'll talk through it there. 833-368-3680. Again, 833-368-3680, a free meeting to sit down and talk through your 401k. We'll give you that 401k X-ray for free. All right, the people at Mass Mutual did a study and a poll and a test, actually, about Social Security. Put a bunch of people in a room and said, okay, 13 true-false questions about Social Security. Here we go. How did they do? 78% of people, near retirees, got a D or an F in the Social Security test.
Not surprised.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, when people come in to see you, this is a part of the income conversation. That's income coming in. Do people know a lot about Social Security, or is it a big education curve that we've got to talk through?
Social Security is boring. Nobody cares. They just want their check and I want it now. Give it to me now, right? That's what we think. My grandpa, my dad, they took it at 62. So by golly, I'm going to take it at 62 because that was surely the right practice, right? And so you pay into your FICA taxes. This is how we get our Social Security checks in the future. And all you know is that one day you're going to get your money, hopefully, right? Mm-hmm. And depending on how much debt our government goes into. No, I do feel like we're solvent enough to get through the next 30 years. But I will say there are strategies when it comes to claiming your Social Security. You know, if you claim Social Security at age 62, you're taking a penalty to do that. You're not getting 100% of the benefit that you worked the last 30 to 40 years.
So put that in numbers for me. So for instance, we're talking late baby boomers here. If your retirement age is 67 and you went to full retirement age and you were going to get $3,000 a month, if you were to file at 62, how much of a difference would that make? $500 a month? $700 a month?
Like 25%.
It'd be a pretty big hit, wouldn't it?
Yes, okay. It's a huge hit. And so you got to really consider, does that make sense? Because if you and your spouse do that, remember when one of you pass away, of the two Social Security checks, you get to keep only the largest one. So if one of you is getting $2,500 and the other one's getting $2,000 a month, you get to keep the largest one, whoever's the surviving spouse. But what if one of you waited till full retirement age at 66 or 67 to collect, and that $2,500 was now $3,000, for example? Mm-hmm. Well, when that first spouse passes away, you get the higher of the two checks. You're getting that $3,000, so you're getting more. And sometimes that's a valuable reason for one of you to collect at 62 and not get your entire benefit you're entitled to, and one of you wait to collect at age 67 for full retirement age, because maybe there isn't a pension later on, or maybe if there is a pension, only 50% passes to your spouse. So you want to make sure you're not leaving your spouses financially destitute if you pass away. So there has to be some thinking and some planning involved when it comes to claiming Social Security. It's just not, hey, I contributed to FICA, I get what I'm owed. Remember, if we're married, we're trying to protect the spouse that's still in the house later on. And it's really dependent on what you also saved and what's still going to be sitting there if you've passed away, or if we go through long-term care, we spend our assets down. So we have to look at all those hazards before we claim, because when you go to Social Security, they are not allowed to give you advice. I don't know if you know that, Randy, but they are not legally allowed to give you advice. So therefore, you're not going to get the advice you need. Therefore, this is why you come into Zinnia Wealth Management and work with one of the advisors, because we will advise you on the best strategy. Whether you take it or not is up to you, right? And then on top of that, what if you're still working? You're like, I love my job, Sharice. I'm pulling in 50 or 80 grand a year, and I don't want to stop what I'm doing. And maybe you're 67. Well, maybe you don't collect your Social Security till a little bit later, because you might say, I'm going to retire at 69. Well, do you know from full retirement age, that's around 66 and 67, all the way to age 70, you get delayed retirement credits, about 8% every year. You are getting extra compounding bonuses by delaying taking Social Security. So that could be also another reason to delay taking Social Security to 68 or 69. But by 70, you cannot delay anymore. You have to take it, right?
Well, that's the deal. You have the options. You can take it early. You can take it late. You can take it at your full retirement age. As you were talking about this, Sharice, I read an article this week, and I know you kind of like Susie Orman. And Susie Orman put a thing out this week about 5 Social Security facts that take the fear out of all of these headlines. And just a couple of them. She says, look, Social Security is not going to run out of money. As long as there's paychecks, there's money coming out, it'll be funded. It may go down. The benefit may go down, but 75% is better than nothing, she says. She also says if they raise the retirement age, it will very likely not affect you right now who is in retirement. We're talking about people who are 40 and 30, and those are the people who are going to probably be affected by this. So she said, I know that there's some scary stuff out there, but relax. It's still there for you. Let's make the most of it. And that's, I think, what we need to do is have that meeting, Sharice, and say, how can we maximize this money for you, even if it does go back 25%?
Listen, retirement isn't about, portfolios and the top stock that you can put in your portfolio. It's about protecting what you've already built. Mm-hmm. That starts with a Social Security check. Then it starts with your market risk, then long-term care and taxes and fee management. All this goes into play when creating a retirement plan. And if you are looking for that retirement planner to help you take the guessing work out of what's going to happen in the next 30 years, then we encourage you to come in and get our portfolio x-ray and our written income plans and our tax analysis.
Here's our number. Here's our website, 833-368-3680, 833-368-3680, or online, ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. Click on that gold box that says complimentary retirement consultation, and you'll be on your way. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the tax code. I saw an article that says there's 76,000 pages in the tax code, but most of it is not written for you. We'll find out what that means coming up next on Retirement Coffee Talk. Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. We hope you'll go there today. If it's time to talk about your retirement, give us a look. Give us an opportunity to kind of do an analysis for you, see how you're doing, and if we can help you in any way, fill some of those gaps, answer some of those questions, we'd be happy to do it. 833-368-3680 or ZinniaWealth.com. All right, so our U.S. tax code currently is about 6,000 pages long. And then if you add in the IRS explanations on all of those pages, that's another 70,000 pages, okay?
Yeah, a bit much.
All right, saw an opinion piece just recently in Market Watch, and it said, these pages are not written for average people like you and me. It says they're really written for people with great wealth. However, the article said there is one thing that ordinary people should grab onto with both hands, and that is the IRA to Roth conversion. When you take your 401k money and systematically move it over to a Roth, pay the taxes now so you don't have to pay them later. So, Sharice, talk to me about that. When you do an analysis and you say you'd be a good person for this, and you actually run those numbers, what kind of benefits do you actually see? Because I know it's kind of a hard sell to tell somebody you got to pay taxes now so you don't pay taxes later.
Yes. And anybody who really wants to take a deep dive and it's just like, Sharice, I don't know. I'm just not so sure. Google a guy named Ed Slott. He was the IRA guru of our country, and that's all he does, and you will get the real feedback from him. But I follow him, I listen to him, smart guy, and the word on the street, everyone, is taxes are on sale. And if taxes are on sale, what do? We take advantage of it. And taxes on sale just means we're at a lower marginal tax rate right now than we could become January 1st, 2026, after the taxes have had expired. So my question is, while they're on sale, do we sell a few of our items in our portfolio that's in the IRA, shovel it over to that Roth, pay the taxes since taxes are lower right now for most people, and do it every year until we see what the tax burden is going to be in the future? Because I don't know if you all know this, but eventually if you have a retirement account, you're going to have to do this thing. It's a mandatory thing. It's called required minimum distribution phase of life. And right now that's age 73. And if you're born after 1960, it's age 75. You are forced to pull money out of your IRAs at that point, whether you want to or not. And a lot of people don't want to because they have money saved elsewhere. Maybe they have other fixed incomes, but you're forced to. And then you're already in this next tax bracket. And if you got $1 million, you have to take $40,000 more. And now all of a sudden you're popped over into that 22% tax bracket. You're not going to like your nice little tax bill. So what you can do is start rolling some of those IRAs now to a Roth, and you got to pay the taxes in the same year. And you can do this at any age, right? A rollover, you can do at any age. You can be 10, you can be 30, you can be 50, you can be 80 and do it. And if we do that, this Roth IRA, well, number one, we pay the tax on that year, and then it grows tax-free. So all the growth inside of it is tax-free. So we want that to go into our probably riskier accounts if we're going to have risky stuff in the market so that it just grows tax-free. That means when you pull it out to live on at any time you want, or maybe it's never, or if you just pass it to beneficiaries, it's all tax-free income to your tax-free estate to them. So why do we do it? And why is that slot in the entire country saying to do it? I've met 1 out of 100 people that says not to do it, and they just didn't understand the math. If taxes go up in 2026, or if your standard deduction goes down and is cut in half, the average individual is going to have to pay $2,000, maybe $4,000 extra in taxes. And then if you roll your IRA over to a Roth, it's going to cost you even more. And then that's just in 2026. Let's fast forward 5 years. Let's say nothing major happens the next 5 years. Well, what happens the next round? Somebody's got to pay the piper. We are in a massive amount of debt. We've finally hit the $35 trillion mark. We're over it now. Just a month ago, we were at $34 trillion in debt. This is debt we owe. And this is why we have to push interest rates down, number one. But let me not go sideline on you, Randy. If the debt continues to go up and we don't have a plan to pay it off and we continue to sit in a deficit, we're going to have a problem. And the people who are going to pay are the people who have the most amount of money in these IRAs. Because you save the money, you have the most amount of money, and the retiree, you're on the fixed income, they're coming after you. And they're also coming after business owners. So if we do it now, it could put you into a lower tax bracket later. If taxes absolutely double, I mean, we've seen them more than double in the past. Why wouldn't it happen again? We're in more debt now than we ever were before. I have yet to get anybody to a zero tax bracket, Randy, because it takes a lot of work and you got to do it every year. You got to put your chin down and be like, Charisse, I don't want to pay this tax bill right now. Okay, well then we'll loosen up the reins and we'll do a little bit at a time. Well, but if you do want to lower your taxes in the future, if taxes go up, then this is how we do it. And then we forget why we're living and we're breathing and we're enjoying life in retirement with our spouses. When one of you pass away, this just happened. I had a gentleman come into the Villages and he said, Charisse, if I knew that when my wife passed away, that my tax bill would go up. His tax bill went up 40%. Yep. I lost the income. My tax bill went up 40%. If I knew that, he's like, gosh darn it. I thought I had everything tackled. I thought I had a plan and I figured this out. He's like, I would have rolled my IRAs to a Roth 8 years ago when I heard about doing it the first time. And he says, but now I'm doing it and I'm doing it for the kiddos so that the kiddos aren't stuck with this huge tax bill because they're the ones who really are going to have a pain point in the future.
You know what's interesting about this is many of us have done something like this already and we don't even realize it. And that is this. Say, for instance, you put $10,000 on a credit card. 20% interest is what's common out there right now. You get that first bill, that payment says $100. Now, I did the math on that, and if you paid $100 on that $10,000 bill, it would take you 19 years to pay it off, and you would pay not $10,000, but you'd pay $21,000. So what do? Instead of paying $100, you pay $500 on your bill each month. That way you pay it off sooner and you save money in interest. It's exactly the same thing and the same concept of a IRA to Roth conversion. You're paying a little bit more now and you're saving yourself money later. So if you've paid extra on your mortgage, if you've paid extra on your credit card, you already have done this. You know the concept. Now let's put it to work in retirement. Same idea.
I love that analogy, Randy. Bravo. Yes, we have. And it's just a different method, maybe a different season of life. You're doing different things. So think about it. Think about it. If you've been thinking about it, you've been hearing that my neighbor did this or my family member did this, maybe it's time for you to take action. Be prudent. Come in and see us. We'll help you with your tax plan, and we're not going to charge you for it. That's a great thing. We'll direct traffic. If you need a CPA, we'll introduce you to our different CPAs in the different cities that we have offices. That is what we do. This is part of holistic planning when you're in retirement. If you're going to pay an advisor a 1.5 or just a 1% fee to manage your money, I hope they're doing all these other pieces.
Yeah.
Because that is now worth your 1% fee, because now you have a plan. It's ongoing. It's ever changing. And so I know a lot of you are sitting there saying, well, you know what? This sounds familiar. I did ask my advisor about taxes, and they're like, you got to go to the accountant. I did ask about Social Security, and they're like, oh, we don't know. You did ask your advisor, can you do this tax strategy? No, we don't do taxes. I get it. And not every advisor does that. And that's okay. That's why you get freedom of choice to pick who you're working with. So if that is the season of life that you're in and you need help with those, then you don't wait till later to get that advisor. You go shop for them now, because there's a few of us in town, right? Go interview them, make sure they're meeting your needs, and they're doing all those things that you are embarking in. You just might be in that season of life where you're trying to decide, do I take Social Security or wait? Should I roll my IRAs to my Roth? Do I need to start planning for long-term care? Am I part of the Florida Partnership Program? Do I need to start working on my wills and my trusts? And that is a retirement planner that actually understands all of that. And if that's a phase of life that you are in right now and you're looking for some growth strategies, some protection strategies, and some income strategies, Zinnia Wealth, that's what we do. And we are the place for you.
Well, give us a call. Many of you are going to come into retirement, and the bulk of your money is going to be in a 401k. It could end up being a big tax problem for you later in life, especially if one spouse passes away. Let's head that one off right now, or at least have that conversation and do the math on it, as we always say. 833-368-3680 is our number. Make your appointment with Charisse. It's absolutely at no charge. 833-368-3680, or look us up online, ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. There's a gold box in the lower right-hand corner. It says complimentary retirement consultation. Click on that, and you'll be on your way. So we've all heard the term retirement crisis in this country. They keep talking about how so many people haven't saved enough for retirement. A lot has been written about that. I'm reading an article here about it, and David Blanchett is a guy who works for a research firm, and he said, yes, this is a problem, but I'll tell you the thing that makes me angrier and makes me more concerned than any of this. It says, what I worry about are the surveys that say you need $1.9 million to retire. People see that, they're going to think, what's the point? And they totally give up. He says, and I quote, you don't need $5 bajillion to retire. You're going to be okay. There is a middle ground. So, Charisse, I have always said, I think these stories negatively affect retirees. Have you seen some of the damage that they do? That people will come in saying, kind of kicking the ground going, I've got 900,000. I know I'm supposed to have 1.3 million, but I just don't think I can get there. Charisse, can I ever retire? And they're just all upset about it. And the answer is, calm down. You did enough. You're going to have a great retirement. Forget about the financial news.
Yes. So many people do not retire because of this, and they'll wait and they'll wait and they'll wait until they just save the perfect amount of money because I heard this guru that said this, that they've been listening to for all these years, yet they don't know your personal situation. I want to paint a picture because this just happened. I had a college student come to me looking for advice, saying, listen, I am in physical therapy. I just spoke to my teacher. My teacher said that, of 100 students, I will graduate, but I won't graduate top of my class. Therefore, you won't get a good job, and you should probably do a different job, or you'd be a glorified PE teacher. And let me just tell you, this college student going to Georgia, and they have one of the top physical therapy departments. And they said, I think I'm going to quit. I'm going to change my major. So I'm like, are you still in love with it? And they went, yeah, I love it with all my heart. I'm like, and you're just going to stop because he said it's a glorified PE teacher, which I love my PE teachers. They're some of the best out there. So that to me does not matter. But I said, no, you don't listen to the noise. If that's how that school treats their students, go find a school that wants you. Go find a school where you think you can graduate top of your class, and then you go find that job and you impress those people that you want that job with based on your personality and your tenacity and how hard you're going to work. Just graduate from the darn college. And he said, oh my gosh, I didn't know. I was almost ready to quit, Charisse, and thanks for the motivation. It's the same thing here. Don't let somebody or some noise or some, college or some sort of guru out there mistakenly say something where they're talking for the masses because they're trying to push people away, because sometimes there's a reason for it. If you don't have $1.9 million, that doesn't mean you don't retire. That doesn't mean you can't retire. How in the world does that person know what your Social Security benefit is, what you've saved, what your needs are? Have you paid off all your debt? You know, what are your goals and dreams? Yeah. Do you have a pension? Yeah. Do you have any cash rents? You have to take inventory. You need to work with somebody who understands how to take inventory of all those assets, all those liabilities, and all those income streams. I have retired more people in my time in this business because of all the naysayers out there that told them they could not, and they came in. I'm like, well, why can't you? And that's just my personality. I always say, when somebody says, no, you can't do it, I'll say, well, why not? You never tell me you can't. I have a mission to help you retire. I have a mission to figure out a solution. There's something out there. Once in a blue moon, I will say 1 out of 20 people, I might say, when you come in asking, can I retire now? 1 out of 20, literally, I'm not kidding, I'll say, you might need to work 2 more years, or you have to be willing to cut back here or there. And I said, I'd rather you not cut back, and I'd rather you work a little bit so you can enjoy those years without the extra burden and stress of having to cut back and still clip coupons, because, you know, you did it your whole life. I don't want you also doing it in retirement. I want you to enjoy those times and feel free to spend, especially during your go-go years. So yes, Randy, naysayers, and don't listen to the numbers game. Let's figure out who you are, what you're trying to accomplish. Let's see if you can do it. We'll put the math in front of you. We'll put it up on the big screen. I got a 1,000-inch TV screen. You're going to go blind when you walk out, and you're going to need glasses, but you're going to be able to see it, and we're going to work it together. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, I think along with all these stories about the retirement crisis, I brought this one up not too long ago, and I'm going to bring it up again. 90% of people who go into retirement have not saved $1 million. So when these articles come out, it's just literally a slap in the face, a kick in the gut to 90% of people out there. Don't let this rule your retirement decisions. Come in. We say it every week, and I'll say it again. Let's do the math on your retirement. Nobody's going to know unless we do the math on your retirement, and that's what Charisse does every single day. Give us a call, give us a look. Let's do your math and find out when you can retire. It might be today. 833-368-3680, 833-368-3680, or you can find us online at zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. Click on that gold box that says complimentary retirement consultation. I'm going to blow your mind on a story about Paul McCartney of the Beatles. That's coming up next on Retirement Coffee Talk. Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, zinniawealth.com. Check us out. Go through there. You can kind of scroll around. And if you want to attend one of our upcoming events, anything like that, click on events. You'll see the calendar open up. Charisse is out there talking about retirement all the time, educating people on what they're in for, an opportunity for you to answer some questions. There's a lot of opportunities out there. Check that out today on zinniawealth.com. All right. Paul McCartney, of course, you know him from the Beatles. Paul McCartney is one of the greatest songwriters of all time. And he was recently on 60 Minutes, and he said he can't read music.
It's embarrassing. I don't read music or write music. None of us did in the Beatles. We did some good stuff, though, but none of it was written down by us. It's basically notation. That's the bit I can't do, because I don't see music like that. I don't see music as dots on a page. It's something in my head that goes on.
That's amazing to me.
That is. I mean, that's just a talent. I mean, that's why he's so great.
Gosh.
He's special.
Well, I mean, the fact that he doesn't read music, John didn't read music either. So those two together have written some of the greatest songs of all time in an unbelievable variety and a lot of number one hits, and they can't read or write music.
That is amazing. I can't get over that. I only because I've never read music till my kids started doing music. I'm like, oh, this is really easy.
Okay.
I mean, I couldn't write it. I mean, just like you only got like 8 notes you got to read, and it goes over and over again. So wash, rinse, repeat.
They go up, they go down.
Yeah, I got these little weird knobby things.
All right. So here's where I want to go with this, Cherise. Paul McCartney, one of the greatest songwriters of all time, couldn't read music, but yet beautiful music came out of Paul McCartney and John Lennon. Many people that you deal with, they have been wonderful savers. They've been very successful in their life. It could be, they've saved $500,000. They may have saved $50 million over their life. They've owned a business. They've been unbelievably successful, but they have no idea on how to make it last. They have no idea on how to make an income plan. They have no idea what they're going to do in taxes. They've been really good at one thing, but the thing that's going to make it all work, they have no clue on how to get there. So talk to me about the people that come in, they're a spreadsheet person or they're unbelievably successful, and they put it down in front of you and they say, Cherise, this should be enough, but it's really not a plan.
You know what? You're good, Randy. You know how to put these in. This is good. I didn't know where you were going with this. I'm like, I'm going to try. Gosh, it's to the point. To the point. I live this on the daily with people. They come in and they bring their spreadsheets. They've got their plan, but then they forget some parts of the plan because they've never experienced it or they don't know people that experience. And then I've got to be raining on the parade a little bit. And I say, man, you're so smart. You're way smarter than me. And this is a beautiful spreadsheet. And I said, but you forgot this one thing, or you forgot these 2 things. And then I rebuild that beautiful spreadsheet so that the husband who built it understands it. Now that the wife can understand it too and see it as simpler footsteps on our software. And now what happens over and over and over again, like clockwork, that human being, that special human being that is so talented to put these things together says, oh my gosh, how did you do that, Cherise? I hear it all the time. All the time. They said, you made that so simple and you do it very quickly. And that's because I do it every day. And they say, I didn't think of that. I get this all the time. And I get a lot of thank yous in here and I earn that respect. And they're like, all right, you take this over, Cherise, because right where I thought I was good, I thought I knew what I was doing. I got all this money saved. I didn't think I had any risks here. I had everything covered. You showed me a couple of hazards. And so I earned that and I'm happy to. But if I could show you some holes in your plan, you probably want to see it, don't you? You don't want me just to tell you. We will show you. We'll do the math on it. We'll do some data. We use some of the most specialized software out there that you all have heard of and trust. And it's just not me saying it. I'm backing it up with lots of stuff. And I'm going to tell you, bring those spreadsheets in. And I'm gonna just pat you on the back. And if for some reason you have the perfect plan, there's no holes, I am the first person to tell you. I'm like, kudos. Like, you're 1 in my 1,000. It's happened maybe once a year. I'm just like, somebody came in. I'm like, you actually don't need me. Why are you here? And they're like, we like you. If something happens to me, my spouse is going to need someone because they don't want to be involved in this. So I really want to start creating that relationship. And I want my spouse to like that other person. And that's why I'm here, Cherise. And I was like, I'm good enough with that if you're all good enough with that. So there's different rhymes and reasons why people come in here. Some people are super smart. You got a beautiful spreadsheet. Maybe you saved a ton of money and you're very organized. But I'm not afraid to tell you if something's going to go wrong in the future. And what if it does go wrong? We're going to do the math for you, right? And there's a lot of people who come in, Randy, and they come in with $500,000 of Social Security, maybe a little nice pension, and they have these beautiful spreadsheets, and they even can have it wrong. They even have hazards. Some of them get it right the first time. I'll say, great, congratulations. You're really on top of your game. You've done your homework. So again, it doesn't matter how much money you have. We see this frequently. That's what we do every day. If you are somebody that thinks that you know it all, you're probably the perfect person to come see me, because I'm not here to prove you wrong. I'm not here to say I gotcha. No, I'm here to be that voice of reason and say, hey, I'm glad we sat down. If you got anything from this today, that's the one thing I would fix if you're going to go alone and not come back. And that's what we do here.
Well, are you ready for my bumper sticker to close the show today? You ready?
Oh, yeah. Let's hear it.
You don't have to be able to read music to enjoy a song. You don't have to be a financial expert to enjoy your retirement.
Oh, that's good.
I'm hot today,
you carried the show. Thank gosh. I'm so tired from school. I need to sleep in till noon one of these days.
I love it.
No, such a great point. Thank you, Randy.
Well, I think we've all been experts in our life at something, and it has made us money. And some of us, it has made us a lot of money. A policeman, a teacher, working in an office, a business owner, whatever it is. But when it comes time for this, you know that you probably haven't been a financial expert in your life, and you're certainly not a retirement expert, because we're all going to go through this once. Charisse goes through it every single day. Let her help. Give us a call. Give us a look on our website. Here's our number, 833-368-3680. 833-368-3680, or use our website, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. There's a gold box down in the lower right-hand corner. It says complimentary retirement consultation. We'll do that for you at no charge, give you a real good look at where you are right now as far as being ready to retire. Maybe you're ready to retire. Is your money ready to retire? Let's find out. 833-368-3680. That is all the time we have on this one. Charisse, I'll give you the last word.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget, if you missed anything, it was a lot of information, a little bit of a lot. I don't even know if that even sounds right, Randy, but we're going to have you covered. You can listen to it again on podcasts, Apple phones, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. You can catch us there. And just remember, our job is to help guide you, give you some direction, and build trust so that you do have the confidence to be in retirement, to step into retirement without a whole lot of worry. There's always going to be worry, but we're here to help you through those worries. Thank you for tuning in. Live by design and not by default, and we'll see you here next week.
This has been Retirement Coffee Talk. To find out more about how the strategies we've discussed on this program can build the retirement you've been wanting, call Zinnia Wealth at 352-368-3680 or visit us online at zinniawealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. The firm only conducts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded from registration requirements. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Insurance products are offered through Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC, Florida license L078655, and Charisse Rivers, Florida license P037744. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, and Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC are affiliated entities. The information presented is believed to be current. It should not be viewed as personalized investment advice. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the presenter on the date of the podcast and are subject to change. The information presented is not an offer to buy or sell or a solicitation of any offer to buy or sell any of the securities discussed. You should consult with a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Any legal or tax information provided in this podcast is general in nature. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation. Any client experience discussed on this show are unique to that client. Annuity and life insurance guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. If you withdraw money from or surrender your contract within a certain time after investing, the insurance company may assess a surrender charge. Withdrawals may be subject to tax penalties and income taxes. Persons selling annuities or other insurance products receive compensation for these transactions. These commissions are separate and distinct from fees charged for advisory services. Insurance products also contain additional fees and expenses. Social Security rules and regulations are subject to change at any time. Always consult with your local Social Security office before acting upon any information provided herein. References to specific investments should not be construed as being past specific recommendations. The returns for various indices discussed in this podcast do not represent the performance of the firm or any of its advisory clients. Returns do not reflect the impact that advisory fees will have on an investment. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All investment strategies have potential for profit or loss. Different types of investments involve higher and lower levels of risk. There is no guarantee that a specific investment strategy will be suitable or profitable for an investor's portfolio. portfolio. Historical performance returns for investment indexes and or categories usually do not deduct transaction and or custodial charges or advisory fees, which would decrease historical performance results. There are no guarantees that a portfolio will match or outperform a specific benchmark. Investments in fixed income products are subject to liquidity risk, market risk, index rate risk, credit risk, inflation risk, purchasing power risk, and taxation risk. Because bond prices fluctuate continually, their yields change constantly.